Hey tubers and pickers, it's Drew, the California Picker. Welcome back to my channel, California Pickin'. And man, this is an exceptional find today. I can honestly say it's pretty exceptional. And I've just been on a roll, you guys. I don't know, sometimes you get on a roll and it's like nothing can stand in your way. So let's get to it. This is a pair of extremely large real horns from some type of steer or buffalo, I don't know. I think it's a steer, and they're real, and they're not just any old horns. They have hand-carved depictions of animals and figures carved into them, and that's known in a category called scrimshaw. And scrimshaw is anything carved into bone, teeth, or horn. And usually when you see scrimshaw, if you do see the real stuff, because there's a lot of fakes out there, you see it in whale teeth, walrus tusk, and whalebone. And then every once in a while you will see it in this type of horn. These are not powder horns. I thought initially they were powder horns used in, to load a musket or something like that, but it turns out that there's no nipple on the end, so that there's no way that the powder can come out the smaller end, the tip of the horn, which would be typical on a Civil War powder horn. So I'm baffled exactly what these were, decoration, or I really don't know. I'm on macro setting right now, so it's looking kind of fuzzy, but in a second I'm going to show you some up-close views of these great old horns. Alright, so let's go to it. The first horn, which I think is possibly the better of the two, is depicting a rabbit hunt. And there we see a rabbit right here with long ears, and he's being chased by a dog. And here's the dog right here with the smaller ears and the tail, and he's chasing the rabbit. And here is his master up here, and it's some primitive looking figure holding some type of stick or club. I'm not sure what that's all about. He's got some type of hat on, and he's holding up some type of club. I'm not sure if that's a shillelagh, which is an Irish term for club. I'm not positive of where these came from. He's holding a dead rabbit in his hand right here, and I'm not advocating rabbit violence, but I guess if you had to eat way back when, that's what you would eat. Probably tastes like chicken. I like rabbits though. But there's the bigger rabbit, the hare, and so let's turn the horn over and see what we have over here. We have an incredible depiction of a tree of life right here, guys. That's the tree of life. Getting some glare in the room here from this other light source. Hold on a second. That's better. Sorry about that. So let's go over to the tree of life, which is right here. All hand carved into the horn, you guys. It's all hand done. And over here another primitive looking figure with a very short body, and he's pointing at something with, I just really don't know what he's doing. But then along this part of the horn, this great organic looking shape, some type of large plant. I don't know what this is, but it's all hand carved into the horn. You can see the detail is pretty darn good. primitive and yet artistic. And here at the end, the best part, a great little heart. Very cool. Now some of these scrimshaw artists, they were at seas, at sea for long periods of time on ships, whaling ships, etc. They had a lot of time on their hands to carve stuff into whale bones and whale teeth and walrus tusk. These are obviously in a horn, so this person wasn't at sea, but they certainly put a lot of time and effort and love into this type of artwork. So that's a great shape on the end, some organic shape. And now we come to the hardware that's on the horn. And I think the hardware is a great way to tell the age of an item. So let's go to it first. Let's go look at the chain first. I'm going to take the camera off the tripod. And we're going to take a closer look at this. Now the chain is the mark of a very old chain. I believe it's hand forged, and all these links are not machine made, they're hand forged, and they have little spot welds on each one of them, so pretty incredible there. And this one is the real telltale sign of an old object. It's a nice little hand forged hook, and it has this little tapered end on the end here. I call those snake tails, and you see that a lot in pre-turn of the century metalwork, ironwork, made in a forge by a master forge maker. In the old days, they used to just make everything look really organic and beautiful, and here we see that example there. If it was today, they just chop that off. It would just be a hook, and in the old days, they didn't do that. They made everything look elegant and beautiful and organic. And here we see that tapered end, and then over here we also see a sort of a diminished end here. So whenever you see something like that on a hook, that's the mark of an old piece of chain or hook type of thing. Then we move to the hardware around the horn, and this will tell you a lot as well. This is hand forged. It's got round nails. They're not square. But do you see the difference between from here to here? And as you move around the horn, it diminishes back here. So this thickness is less than over here. And that's the mark of a handmade iron type of object or collar in this example. And we see that he's done like an argyle, the artist has done like an argyle type of zigzag pattern here at the top. That's also an Indian motif. I don't know if these are, I just don't know the origins of this. I don't have any more information. But then we get to the plug. And here we see a beautiful wood plug stuck into the horn with no gaps, you guys. Look at that, no gaps. You know, in the old days, these guys were craftsmen, and they made everything fit perfectly, and everything worked perfectly. And there we see a classic example of that. And today, we have none of that. It's all garbage. So, this is all a lost art from another century ago. And see, we see all that great old rusting and oxidation. Now, a lot of people can make these fakes, but I've gone over this one pretty darn good, and I can tell you that I'm fairly convinced that this is absolutely real as rain. And you always got to be on guard for these modern fakes. made in China and Mexico, etc. Just don't know the origins of these. But then we get to the second chain and horn, and this other chain does not have the nice little hook on the end of it, unfortunately. But this horn is also just really superior carving, guys. Here we see a depiction of a large steer, or I don't think it's a bison, I think it's a steer. And you got your long horns, possibly the horns that these are from this particular animal. I mean, how wild is that? And then we see a depiction of also a primitive man holding a club of some sort. And there we see the club part and then the shaft. So I don't know if that's a war stick or a hunting stick. I don't know. Is he hunting right there? But he's a very unusual, primitive looking character. Kind of looking a little Amish with his hat. I just don't know. But then we come to the other side, which is there's a nice depiction of a horse right there with cross hatching. Really nice. All done by hand, very primitive. And then we get down to here. Now this is going to be the thing that dates it. Let's see if I can prop this up correctly. This is hard to do. So right here we have this is what dates it, guys, in my mind. This is a depiction of a bicycle. Here we see the two wheels, and there's a figure riding the bicycle. It's hard to see it, but there he is. He's riding the bicycle. Now the bicycle was invented in about 1830, 1831, somewhere in that area, and it was basically, a bicycle was just like a sawhorse with wheels. So later on they made them into tubular steel bicycles, and that's what this appears to be. It has a tubular steel type of construction, and therefore I'm thinking that this horn, or when this was carved anyway, was somewhere around the turn of the century. And Orville and Wilbur Wright were actual bicycle makers before that they made their fateful flight in Kitty Hawk in 1902, 1903, 4, something like that. They were bicycle makers before they actually flew their airplane and became famous. So bicycles have been around for a long time, but that basically dates it right there. If he hadn't carved the bicycle there, we would not actually know if it was really 19th century or 20th century or what. So that basically tells the sign right there. Great item, huh, guys? Fantastic item. Really jazzed to have that. Now, this would fall into a category called primitives, and the primitive category is, as I've been telling you for a long time, super hot. You can look at the amount of traffic that they get, and it's usually double, triple, quadruple any other category. So if you have any antiques that you're selling, I would also put them in primitives, even if they're not primitives. Put them in there. There's people that are on that channel, or that are on trolling those categories, and they might run upon your item and buy it. So when you're selling something, whatever, decorative, anything, just take a chance, spend extra 50 cents or whatever it is, $1 for the listing, and put it in the second category and put it in primitives, and you'll see that sometimes you have pretty good luck with that. So anyway, I'm not going to go into the price of what I paid, but I did get a good deal on these. But I plan to possibly embed this video. But I don't know, this Scrimshaw stuff is super hot, guys, and we're just going to have to see what these incredible depictions on horn go for. And by the way, this other plug is really super tight also. Check that out. I mean, it's just crazy tight. Look at that. Don't know what the holes are for. I don't know if they had plugs and tops to them at one time. I do not know, but they are not here now, so this is how they come. And anyways, that's me, Drew, the California Picker. And gosh, we're just going to have to see what happens with these. I don't know. If I had to put a number on them, I'd probably start them out at, I don't know, $250, $300 a piece, something like that. We're just going to have to just check it out. So that's me, Drew, the California Picker, with another great find for you. Come on back and keep on picking. Cheers.